Hello and welcome to WhoKnowsThisStuff.com. I'm Ron McKinnon. We're on the road again, and this time we're in Rockford, Illinois. We're going to be attending the International Bioenergy Conference. What is bioenergy? Bioenergy is energy created from biomass, such as corn, wood, algae, etc. Don't really know a lot about this, that's why we're here obviously, and we're here to tell the story to you. We're also going to find out where the United States is in its progression down the road into implementing renewable technologies to offset our energy needs. For example, Sweden in 1970 decided to do something a little different. They started thinking out of the box. Let's find a way, let's make the steps to get to energy independence. Today, 30 years later, they get 43% of their energy from renewable resources. Where's the United States in all this? What are we doing? If it's not profitable, let's not do it. That's the wrong way to look at it, folks. And we're going to go inside and we're going to tell you why it's the wrong way to look at it. We're going to be talking to the Swedish ambassador, who's very in tune to the energy and renewable technologies. Let's go inside. This is going to be a lot of fun. The Swedish American Chamber of Commerce sponsors the annual event, which is held annually to create business opportunities in the bioenergy technology sector. The push to go green is getting stronger. Decision makers and leaders in energy efficiency from all over the world met in Rockford, Illinois to talk about renewable energy efficiencies at the International Bioenergy Days. This conference focuses on bioenergy specifically and highlights some of the real innovative technologies that are here now. But we ask, why is this conference so important? How is our relatively low cost of energy affecting our migration to renewable resources? Mark Podemski, Program Director, discusses these topics.
If you look at the availability and the access to available and low-cost energy, that is one of the real underpinnings of a successful economy. And there is a tremendous amount of work happening in the United States. It just happens to be we're such a large country that there are so many activities going on at so many universities, and trying to keep our arms around that is always a challenge. So for us, we have relatively low-cost energy in this country. Most people wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but we do. And so it puts a lot of pressure on the ability to innovate and create new opportunities in this sector as we're going forward, and that's why public-private partnerships are so important, and that's why at this event, for instance, at International Bioenergy Days, you see a real blending of private industry, academia, and public officials, because really this is a very important topic for us as we go forward. And what we're trying to do through this event here is for our region to understand, why they should care. Why should our manufacturers understand what their role might be out into the future? This is still an emerging marketplace for us. This is one of the alternative fuels that is going to be very important for out in the future. It's already a significant source of energy in the United States. Many people just don't realize that. They don't see it because it's at a wastewater treatment plant, it's at the landfill, it's at the biodiesel, the ethanol plants. And so for us, it's really about how do we continue to blend policy at the federal and state levels to the activities we're trying to do locally, and try to do more things for ourselves. It says, let's just take advantage of this. Let's try to continue to get ahead of the curve here instead of coming into the game too late.
Skip Leitner, Director of Economic and Social Analysis at the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy, a keynote speaker at the conference, discussed the relationship between the economy and renewable technologies. What are the obstacles that exist today and in the future that affect our transition to renewable energy systems here in the U.S.? He offers a unique perspective. The idea that it is going to take a collaborative effort from many different facets of society to bring about change, the change that is needed to accelerate the implementation of renewable technologies, is very enlightening. Do you know how efficiently we use the energy we create here in the U.S. today? Does the way we use energy have a direct effect on our economy?
Our biggest focus is really on how to reduce that enormous inefficiency of our energy consumption pattern. It turns out the United States wastes about 87% of all energy that it uses. We think we're a very productive economy, but that's because we don't take time to really look at the numbers, really look at the economics that underpin how energy fuels the economy. And when we do the right bit of take on it, that 87% of waste actually pulls back our economy. It's like a brake on the economy. Labor isn't able to be as effective. Our factories, our schools, our hospitals, our homes aren't as comfortable as we think they might be otherwise. So the message really is, if we want to maintain a prosperous economy, we've got to figure out clever ways of reducing that huge inefficiency. Ask people to take a step back and imagine what we could do better if we're now wasting 87% of all of the energy that we use to power our economy. If we're wasting more energy in the production of electricity in this country than Japan uses to power its entire economy, where are the opportunities and how might we ask better questions and take the kind of actions that reduce that inefficiency in a way that then, yes, makes a more robust economy, a more prosperous economy, but also that helps the environment and helps tackle climate change in a positive way. The bad news is we have about 5 to 8 years to get on economic track. By that I mean we're so inefficient that we can't really be productive and solve a lot of our financial problems, whether we need to rebuild roads, whether we need to pay for health care, whether we need to contribute to the well-being of international communities and developed countries. We don't have the wherewithal to do all these things. But if we don't get on that track, then we're not only going to be missing the opportunities to help support others in the world and support critical problems, but our economy itself will become much more wobbly. It turns out that our economic productivity is tied directly to how efficiently we use resources. And so the need to step up to the plate, if you will. If we do that in the next 5 to 8 years, then we can slowly begin building. We don't have to solve it overnight, but it's rather that we have to get on the immediate track to get the job done. Yes, we can do it. One of the things that's missing, and it's been alluded to here a couple of times, people are disconnected from how their government works, how infrastructure is created, how things like schools and hospitals are funded and built. And as a result, I was talking to the mayor here, we don't even teach civic lessons anymore, so people don't have a connection with what really goes on in their economy. And yet it's their local community that is the building block of a strong America. So to the extent that we help create the vision, to the extent that we help create a story where people can understand and see the opportunity, then yes, we have every hope of being able to move forward in a positive way.
The Swedish ambassador to the United States, Jonas Hofström, was in attendance and shared his first-hand experiences with the conference attendees. Ambassador Hofström says energy efficiency is possible when people work together. He says innovation and education with these technologies is also key. He shares how Sweden dealt with the energy crisis 40 years ago, how Sweden looked at energy efficiency as an opportunity, but Sweden also knew it would not happen overnight. They started the dialogue back then on how to prepare for the transition. Sweden today now derives 43% of their energy from renewable technologies.
But my story here is, of course, to tell that if you come together, regardless from which party you are representing or who you are voting for, when it comes to the big questions for any nations, your sustainability, your energy system, the pension system, the banking and economy, you can really move your nation in a totally new direction, and at the same time to have economic growth in the economy, because people are afraid of that once you start to fight climate change and reduce the CO2 emissions and to put energy tax on everything, there will be no growth in the economy. We have shown that it is possible. Since 1990 we have reduced our CO2 emissions by 9%, at the same time as the Swedish economy has grown by 44%. And of course that is a clear message to the business community that, come on guys, jump onto this into this train. Sweden, a liter of petrol in my country is very, very expensive. Yes. Compared to this country. That has served us well, because that has forced the consumers to rethink. Do we really need to buy a big car? Who really
So we have a cultural change.
Yeah.
That has to happen.
Yeah, that has to happen.
An energy revolution, would you call it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it will come here. There's no doubt about it. It will take some time, but there's a lot of initiative and incentives also coming out today. And I think we got the new technology. I think it's more or less there. But we have to implement it in a way that the business community see that, yeah, there are business opportunity, and in the end that is also creating jobs in the United States.
I hope you enjoyed today's segment on bioenergy. What I really took away from the conference was how much energy we actually waste and how that has a direct effect on our economy. It took Sweden 40 years to start deriving 43% of their energy needs from renewable resources. How long is it going to take us? 40, 50, 100 years? I hope not. Is it going to take that $7 a gallon gas to force us to renewables? I certainly hope not, folks. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start thinking globally and acting locally. As a matter of fact, that's my new mantra here at Who Knows This Stuff. I invite you to do the same. Who knows this stuff? Simplifying renewable energy.